if you think I'm excited about Ian Gary, you might have to really tell me to slow my roll when it comes to Jailton Almeida, because anyone who has listened to the Anik Florian podcast knows what we think about offensive jiu-jitsu and submissions. And I don't know, man. I don't know exactly how much wrestling Jailton Almeida has done in his life, right? In training or otherwise, right? I know he wasn't a college wrestler, right? I don't know how many times he's donned a singlet. But I do know that he gets to his position very quickly, and every time he is minus 600, he fights like a guy who probably deserved to be minus 800. So what are your thoughts on the budding heavyweight contender, 31 years of age, from Salvador, Bahia, Brazil, Jailton Malhadinho Almeida?
He's a savage, man. I think he's a beast with a tremendous amount of potential. Physically, obviously, very, very gifted. The dude's muscles have muscles. At one point, though, he bounced off of Yair Rozenstruik, who looked like a refrigerator out there, just a true heavyweight through and through. Failed on that first attempt, but again, stayed calm, was able to stay composed, was very careful not to stand and trade with Rozenstruik. And ultimately got the takedown. And from there, he was just in full control, didn't make any mistakes, wasn't losing position there, was very methodical, slowly just started to ratchet up that pressure and that tightness, and was able to get the win. This was a huge opportunity for him. His first main event in the UFC, not an easy thing for a young fighter to deal with. And I thought he came out looking extremely good, and is only going to get better from that experience.
So it seems as though twice visa issues set Almeida's UFC debut back. He was never really going to be on Dana White's Contender Series, but that ended up being the conduit through which he got into the UFC. But he comes from a boxing family. He talked to us a lot about the 5-round live sessions that he did, and yet here he is only needing 3 minutes and 43 seconds. And, Jairzinho Rozenstruik understood the magnitude of what a win over Jailton Almeida would have meant, and as such accepted the fight. But, there's a lot of guys who haven't been able to do that to Jairzinho Rozenstruik, and I really do think it's impressive. So as we spin it forward with one Jailton Almeida, and if you're watching on the video side, I'm smiling, I'm getting excited. He's won 14 fights in a row, and I don't know. I mean, I'm excited to see him get extended and maybe showcase his striking a little bit, but I do believe that he's going to really be trying to be a specialist in there, and I'm not sure that even Gilbert Burns at times. So I wonder if Gilbert Burns just went in there and said, you know what? Striking's a means to an end tonight. I'm not kickboxing tonight. I'm just trying to get takedowns. What do you think about Almeida and his future and how ready he is for prime time right now?
Well, it's interesting, right? Because you have to know who you are. You have to know where your strengths lie and where your opponent is most vulnerable. I'd like to see him in a longer fight, and really test his striking just to see exactly how he would fare against maybe a guy that he might not be able to take down. But you kind of hinted at it earlier. He's not a college wrestler, but perhaps he could train with a bunch of them. And I think I'd like to see him maybe break out of that mold of maybe just training in Brazil and going out and seeking help in the wrestling game, because when you have a top game that is, very pressure oriented, where you set up your strikes very well to get those submissions in a heavyweight division where you can go and really expose that if he's able to get top position, I think you have to pair that with excellent and crisp takedown. So if he could go out and do that and, show a little bit more composure perhaps on the feet, I think this is a guy that absolutely could be a world champion in the heavyweight division. And, he's not the biggest heavyweight in the world, but maybe he has plans of continuing to compete, 205 heavyweight going back and forth, which is a tricky thing to do, but obviously very physically gifted man. I think there's special things in store for him in his career.